911, what's your emergency? 911, what's your emergency?
Be advised, Car 4 has control of the pursuit. Proceed with caution.
Hey, everybody.
What's going on?
Welcome. Hey, Frank. How are you?
Hey, got me started. This bullshit has been going on the last couple of days. Oh, my goodness.
Have you had any sleep?
Well, I mean, a little bit, I slept. I mean, I didn't really sleep with it. I laid down last night with a heating pad on my lower back because it relieved some of the pain in my legs and stuff. And I got a little bit of decent sleep. And then I got up to go to the bathroom this morning and I look at my damn phone and I'm like, damn, they're already starting. I was like,
I know. My phone goes off. I'm still laying in bed and I'm like, my phone just ding, ding, ding. I'm like, what the hell? I pick my phone up. I look at it. I'm like, Frank Meister. So early in the morning.
Yeah.
It's already starting.
Yeah. So that's what I've been doing all day. Yep.
Here we are, guys. So there's been a lot that's been going on these past couple days.
Yeah. Well, if you want to get technical, since last Friday, I mean.
Yeah, lots of motions going back and forth, and finally heard a little bit from Judge Gull, and
yeah,
she's not playing around.
No, she's not.
I mean, she's just not, and I don't think she's buying a lot of what the defense is trying to sell. I just don't think she is, and I think she feels manipulated, and to me, there's just nothing worse than a judge or a court feeling manipulated by the attorneys that are supposed to know better.
Well, tomorrow's the big day on that decision, right?
Yeah.
See, we'll just have to wait and see what she does. I mean,
Yeah, time will
Worst case
tell.
scenario, she can fire them, and this case would really be delayed, or she can sanction them heavily.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Or she
and
can
then
choose to say, we're going to deal with that after this is all over. So she
right,
could do that as well.
exactly.
So let's see. Hey, Cindy, how are you? Good to see you. Hey, Red Queen. Oh, you flipped a coin. I hate the fact that you missed out on Mr. Steve. Make sure you go pick him up on replay, because whatever he's got to say is equally as important, if not more than me. Trust me. Trust me on that one. Hey, Deb. Good to see you. Doesn't get all PC on us and instead tells us how he really
What the
feels.
hell is
What
PC
does
supposed
that
to mean?
mean?
Right. I
What
get
is-
it. I mean, the Red Queen and Mama Wolverine and Mama Metal Mama always like for me to just speak my mind.
Well, you always speak your mind. That's one of the things we
But
respect
when
about
I
you.
get loud and speak my mind, they're listening.
That's true. Hey, 63 Clocks. Good to see you. Thank you so much for your support and being here.
And thank you so much, 63 Clocks, for the major donation to the channel to help with the trip to Delphi for the trial. It was
Awesome.
greatly appreciated. Thank
I
you.
do want to give a shout out tonight to anybody who wants to help donate to Frank Meister's stay in Delphi during the week of the trial. Please make sure that you contribute to his Cash App, and do that as quickly as you possibly can, as he needs to make his reservations and get things in order. So, and we appreciate all of your support in helping
Exactly.
this. So,
I mean,
very,
worst
very much.
case scenario, I will be there in Delphi, and I will try my damnedest to get into the courtroom. But the worst case scenario, I am attempting to hopefully have a second backup to where we could set something up right there near the courthouse, so we can just go live from there and just do what we need to do from there. So
Awesome.
But
Hey,
I do
Metal
plan.
Mama.
But I do plan to be there early enough to get into the courtroom like I normally do. So.
Deb, you are absolutely right. We do speak our minds. I've never had a problem with that. Hey, CJK, good to see you. Jesus Lord, hello. Welcome. H. Nixon, good to see you.
Oh, good to see it.
Yep. Hey, Mary, how are you? Good to see you. I'm healing really, really well. Thank you for asking.
Hey, Mary, good to see you.
Hey, Rescue, how you doing? So good to see you.
There's my partner in crime right there.
There she is. That's right. Hey, Lakeside, good to see you.
She had messaged me today and said, "Do you want to go to one of the jury things?" And I said, "Oh yeah."
Oh, cool.
Oh
yeah. Awesome. That'll be awesome for you to be there for jury selection, because that's really cool to watch the way they do that. There's a lot of people don't understand that goes into jury selection and how they use these jury professionals that know how to ask certain questions of jurors to find out if they're lying or not when it comes to bias.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting to watch.
I went through that.
Yeah.
So I know what you have to go through to become a juror.
Yep. Oh gosh. Hey, Jill, I hope you're feeling well. How are you? Good to have you with us. Let's see. Hey, John. Good to see you, my dear. How are you? How have you been? Hey, Robin B. Yes, everything's going well. I'm recovering fantastically. My PT is going really well. In fact, my physical therapist told me yesterday that I am by far the best and quickest recovery she's had in the 25 years she's been doing it.
It's all a mindset.
I think it is. You just got to work through it. You really do. It's hard. It's hard work, you guys. It is. But I think it also speaks to the amount of pain that I was in prior to surgery, because my pain level's less now than what it was prior to surgery. So I think that's been beneficial to me. Hey, Priscilla, how are you?
Yeah, I had my surgery. It relieved a lot of the pain in my neck, but the rest of my body it didn't.
Yeah, I'm glad about the neck, but sorry about the rest of you. Hey,
It
Tech
just
Death, good to see you. Love you much, my dear. Love you much. Let's see. We all understand that. Hey, Miranda, how are you
oh
doing? Hey, Gladys, good to see you.
Gladys Crab, it's good to
I
see
love
you.
that name. I was so glad to finally meet her at the walk.
You know, when I first saw it, yeah, at the walk too, and it just reminds me of listening to Lenny Kravitz music. It's just the name. 'Cause
Yeah,
you don't see that name that often.
right. I always think of the Gladys Kravitz, the Mrs. Kravitz from Bewitched across the
Oh
street.
yes, oh
Oh,
yes.
that's who I always think of when I see it. So, yeah, Deb, what a day. No kidding. Absolutely.
Whoever Nick Seward is, thank you
Hmm.
so much for donating to the
Oh,
Cash App
awesome.
to help me out. Thank you.
Yeah. And Gladys, thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you. Thank you. $9.99.
Yes, thank you for the donation. Who is that again?
That was from Gladys Kravitz.
Gladys Kravitz. Thank
Yeah.
you, Gladys.
Yep. And Metal Mama, thank you for the gifted membership. So you guys are always right there, supporting our channel, and I really appreciate
Yeah.
you, because I couldn't do it all without you. It's really nice to have you. Mommy Wolverine, did Frank say my name? I think he did.
Yes, I did.
I think I heard it. 63 Clock says, "You're welcome, Frank. My pleasure. Keep fighting the good fight."
That's
We're
what I
trying.
do. That's what
We're
I do.
trying. Metal Mama wants to know if you use Zella. They don't
Mm,
have Cash App, but would like to help.
I don't have Zella. No.
I don't have it either.
You don't even have to get a Cash App card. You could just get the Cash App account and you link it up with your bank account, and that's how you transfer from Cash App to another person's Cash App.
Right. Yeah, you don't actually have to have a Cash App card.
No, you don't. It's just like
Gladys,
PayPal. You don't even have to have a PayPal card. You can just have an account.
Gladys says, looking forward to you guys making this all make sense. Well, as much as you can. Yeah, true.
I mean, you got to think about it. Me and Kristen and Ruckus and several others have been saying the same thing over for months here. If you guys are reading these documents by the defense, there's one common denominator. They're talking about the same shit over and over and over and refiling the same shit, but they're using different content or context in these filings.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing's new. They don't have any breaking evidence like they try to say they do. And we'll get into that a little bit here tonight. But man, yeah. What is a 70-day speedy trial? They don't want speedy. Yeah, no kidding. They don't want speedy.
Me and Kristen talked about this, and we firmly believe that they thought that they were going to fool the judge, and she called their bluff, and they were like, "Fuck! Now we got to go to speedy trial. We're not even going to be ready."
Yep.
That's your own damn fault. If you wouldn't have threw her under the bus.
Cindy, Cash App is an app that you can get on the App Store. And if you download the app, you create an account and you link your bank account to it. And then you can send money to people using your Cash App to them.
It's no different than Zelle.
Yeah, it's no different than that. It's no different than PayPal, really.
Right.
It's like they're all kind of the same.
Vimo.
To me, it's kind of like Apple Pay. It's the same kind of concept.
Right.
And you can send it through their Cash App rather than their email account. You use their Cash App account.
I do have a Google Pay attached to my Cash
Yeah.
App too.
And he does have Buy Me a Coffee and an account with Buy Me a Coffee, and you can send it that way too. But the fastest way for him to get it is through obviously his Cash App, because it goes immediately. It's
Right.
there, and you don't have to wait for somebody to deposit it or anything. It's just there. So yeah, there you go. Thanks. We appreciate you. So thank you so much. Let's see. Hey, Melissa, how are you, my dear? I hope you're doing well. Been thinking about you.
Hi, Melissa. I see Jinx Short Stacks in the house.
Yes, she is. Hey, Jinx, so good to have you here, keeping eye on everything.
Oh, she is one bad mamma jamma.
I appreciate her. She keeps the riffraff at bay.
And she also gets everybody's streams out.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
She does so good about putting out the links and all of that. She's just really good. So yes. Hi, Unsilent Bob. Yes, it is. My knee's feeling much better every single day. I can't say, it's just great. I appreciate that and appreciate you guys asking. Hey, Susie, how are you? Mommy Wolverine, thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. I appreciate you and your support of this live stream. Delphi After Dawn, I wanted to stop by and say hi to everyone. Hope everyone is having a good night.
There's a shitload of mods in here tonight.
I swear everybody showed up. Everybody showed up. They all showed up. I'm so glad. Hey, Periwinkle, good to see you. Good to see you.
Hey, Periwinkle, good to see you.
Another Frank's motion. It's the same Frank's motion, just a different number. It's the same one, just a different number.
Yeah.
Yep, that's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Cash App info for Frank's Delphi Fund. Can I get Jinx, will you please post his Cash App link for me in the chat, please? I appreciate you. Let's see. You guys are all the amazing ones. Okay, I think I'm caught up, so I think we're good. So let's first go over this motion in Lemine, which is what the prosecution filed. They filed this on the 29th at 12:09 a.m.
Yeah, that's why I was so up so early yesterday too.
I know.
Like, oh God, here we go.
They weren't working late or anything.
He said, "You motherfuckers want to put this out on the internet? We're gonna get your asses up early too."
Yeah, no kidding. So now comes the state of Indiana by prosecuting attorney Nicholas C. McClelland, and respectfully requests that this court enter an order required the defendant or his counsels.
Are you not sharing?
Yeah, I will. Hold on. Refrain from mentioning in the presence of the jury. Hold on one second, guys. Share the screen. There we go.
And I got my copy right in front of my face.
Okay. Required the defendant or his counsels to refrain from mentioning in the presence of the jury during a voir dire opening argument, presentation of evidence, and closing argument, any and all references to the following, either directly or indirectly. Number one, any comments about counsel for the state that constitutes a personal attack on the attorney for the state or comments on the role of the state's attorney. I'm not going to go through and read all of the citings, you guys, but they're here. If you can see them. I'm not going to go and read over them. Number two, any comment which constitutes the personal opinion of defense counsel about any evidence, witnesses, outcome, or penalty. Again, we're in the court of law. Opinions don't matter. Facts and evidence matter. For instance, defense counsel cannot vouch for the truthfulness or competency of any of the state's witnesses, including police officers or any of his own witnesses. Number three, any innuendo or inference that is not supported by admissible evidence. This is all important, guys. Keep in mind of all of this as we move through tonight, because this is what he's saying here is so important. Attorney cannot assert substantiated allegations on collateral matters. Attorney may not comment or allude to inadmissible evidence during the trial. Number 4, any attempt to indoctrinate the jury during voir dire by exposing the jury to substantive issue in the case. Number 5, any attempt during voir dire to have the jury prejudge the credibility of a witness. Number 6, any hypothetical questions that includes facts that are not in evidence or questions that are not helpful in violation of Rule 705. Number 7, any attempt to introduce evidence of third-party motive that is not relevant and or the probative value is outweighed by unfair prejudice, confusion of the issues, or has the potential to mislead the jury in violation of Rule 401. Before any such evidence may be permitted, the defense must show some connection between the third party and the crime. That's huge, you guys, when it comes to this Odinism theory they have. Further, it must be a direct connection based on admissible evidence and not found in hearsay, speculation, rumors, conjecture, or theory. And that's all they have here. When it comes to the Odinism angle, it's all subjective speculation, theory. They don't have evidence of any of this. The state requests such order in limine to include but not be limited to the following: Odinism, cult or ritualistic killing, Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall, Johnny Messer, Elvis Fields, Ned Smith, Rob Abrams, Keegan Klein, Jerry Klein, Ron Logan.
Now, let me break in here real quick.
Is anybody here out there in the Delphi world? Are you listening?
If you can go back up to number 7 real quick.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Where am I looking for? All right. Where it says, before and any such evidence may be permitted, the defense must show some connection between the third party and the crime. Now, we're going to take you back to October 18th, the hearing in Allen County. The judge made it very clear there. You better have some evidence of some sort connecting these people to the crime. It doesn't have to be it could be DNA. It could be a fingerprint or something in that nature. And they don't have diddly squat.
No, exactly. I agree.
To me, it's almost like they're testing the judge when they're doing all this crap. And it's just like, man, you guys are just digging a bigger hole than you're already in.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Any reference to an investigation conducted by Todd Click, along with any reports or investigative materials from Todd Click that is not relevant or is used for the purpose of confusing the issues or has the potential to mislead the jury in violation of Rule 401. Burden is on the opponent to show why it is relevant. Relevant evidence may be excluded if its probative value is substantially outweighed by its prejudicial effect. Evidence may be excluded if it confuses the issues. Any reference to geofencing and or any testimony from Kevin Horan about geofencing or the findings from any geofence search that is not relevant or is for the purpose of confusing the issues or has the potential to mislead the jury in violation of Rule 401. Burden is on the opponent to show why it is relevant. let's see. Relevant evidence may be excluded if its probative value is substantially outweighed by its prejudicial effect. Evidence may be excluded if it confuses the issues. Any reference to any prior bad acts or acts of any witnesses that plan to testify at the trial that is not relevant to what the defendant is on trial for, that is not an act that is an exception to IRE 404B, and that is not both relevant under IRE 401 and tend to negate the guilt of the defendant. Any reference to how the files were labeled that were handed over to the defense as part of the information and discovery provided to defense counsel by the state that are not relevant or that would tend to cause confusion of the issues or has the potential to mislead the jury in violation of Rule 401. Burden is on the opponent to show why it is relevant. Relevant evidence may be excluded if its probative value is substantially outweighed by its prejudicial effect. Any reference to any PowerPoints provided by the state as executive briefs involving any person or persons that were investigated by law enforcement as part of the 6-year investigation into the murder of Abigail Williams and Liberty German that are not relevant or would tend to cause confusion of the issues or has the potential to mislead the jury in violation of Rule 401. Burden is on the opponent to show why it is relevant. Relevant evidence may be excluded if its probative value is substantially outweighed by its prejudicial effect. Evidence may be excluded if it is confusing the issue. Wherefore, the state of Indiana, by prosecuting attorney Nicholas C. McClellan, respectfully requests this court to grant the following relief. A, order the defendant through his counsel and witnesses to refrain from mentioning, commenting, or making any reference whatsoever, either directly or indirectly, to any of the above matters without first obtaining permission of the court outside the presence and hearing of the jury. B, to further order said persons to make no reference to the fact that this motion has been filed and granted, and all other relief just and proper in the premises. So that's that. I mean, that's what the state is saying. The state is basically saying all of this stuff that they have been putting out, that the defense has been putting out, that they're trying to use as an alibi for Rick Allen's defense has no bearing and no place in this trial because there's no evidence that they can bring forth that connects these men or this group of men to this crime. Right. And they have to be able to do that. And that's not a want. That's not Nick McClellan pulling this out of the thin air. And this isn't, asking the court for something miraculous. This is the law. This is how the law reads, and this is what they have to do. This is how they have to abide by it. So I thought that this was interesting because there's going to be a lot, you guys, there's going to be a lot of backlash over this because.
And they already started today.
And they've already started because stop and think about it. They're basically just knocking them dead in the water. Mm-hmm. And they're getting it from every direction. And right now I see the defense in this case imploding. They're imploding on themselves because they have put themselves into this position and they thought that they could outsmart the court, thought they could outsmart the judge and the prosecutor, and they thought they could outsmart all of us out here. And they found out that that isn't the case. The judge is a heck of a lot smarter than they gave her credit for. She knows the law. She's not going to put up with their whining and their show, the way they're trying to showboat and make names for themselves and get their, 15 minutes of fame off of this case. She's not going to allow that grandstanding. She's just not. And I'm really happy that she's not. I mean, it's just what it is. I mean, I don't know. However,
basically, Nick McClellan and the judge already said they've taken what defense they were going to use away from them. Basically, is what's happening here.
Oh yeah, Yep. And you know, she can pick and choose out of that what she decides, you know, okay, we're going to let the defense talk about this, but we're not going to let the defense bring in this person or mention this name or that name or whatever. And
And now the judge can grant the limine
yes,
without having a hearing.
she can.
Yes. But see, now I understand why they filed for a pretrial conference for that's what the pretrial conference is going to be about, is this whole shebang
exactly.
right here.
So this is the defendant's response that came out today to what I just read you. Okay. And they not only gave a response, but they are requesting a hearing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So come now, the defendant, Richard Allen, by counsel Bradley A. Rosie, and in response to the state's motion in limine filed marked April 29th, 2024, defendant Allen states as follows. On April 28th, 2024 at 11:15 a.m., the court directed an email to both the state and the defense addressing various legal and logistical matters associated with the forthcoming jury trial. In the second to last paragraph of the email, the court, without any prompting by lawyers from either side, included the following statement. I am quite familiar with the law regarding third-party perpetrators, and unless the defense can provide a nexus between any alleged third-party perpetrators in the charged crimes, those allegations are unsupported and will be inadmissible. First of all, hello, Mr. Rozzi. How long have you been out of law school? She doesn't have to tell you about this. You should already know this. She's letting you know because she can tell by your filings and all your motions and all your Frank's motions what you're using as a defense in this case, which is the Odinism, which is a third-party perpetrators, are responsible for this crime. She's letting you know that the law isn't going to let you do that. She's putting it here in writing for you. On April 29th, 2024, at 12:09 a.m., the state without hesitation accepted the court's invitation to limit evidence regarding third-party perpetrators. Paragraph 7 of the state's motion in limine is proof of this fact. The court has established a pattern of summarily denying pretrial evidentiary motions filed by the defense throughout this case. The motions have been denied despite the defense supporting many of its motions with evidentiary support in the form of video interviews, audio interviews, crime scene photos, affidavits of witnesses, and various other forms of corroborating documentation. In contrast, the state's motion in limine contains no supporting documents or other information justifying any limitations on the defendant's ability to present evidence regarding third-party perpetrators. Well, first of all, she just got done telling them that, hearsay, you can't use that. So if so-and-so heard so-and-so say this or admit this, that's hearsay. Where's their evidence? Where is their direct evidence linking these men or this group of men to this crime? They don't have it. They haven't produced it.
Let me give you a stop real quick. I want to thank Metal Mama and Leah Howard for the donations. Thank you very much. It is greatly appreciated.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for supporting Frank Meister.
You guys want to see the real shit? That's why I'm doing this. Or hear about the real shit.
Number 4, defendant Allen's defense team is quite familiar with the law regarding the admissibility of evidence of third-party perpetrators, which requires only that the defendant Allen establish some connection between the third-party perpetrator and the crime. The court must balance defendant Allen's Sixth Amendment right to present a defense with the state's desire to limit such evidence. First of all, he hasn't shown a connection.
No.
He hasn't shown a connection between these people at all. And for them to say that, okay, Abby was dating Brad Holder's son, Logan. First of all, Abby was 13 years old. She wasn't dating anyone. Okay. I want to make that clear right now.
It was like a crush type thing.
I mean, there was no dating. They didn't go out in a car and go to the soda factory or fountain and get ice cream together. They didn't go have pizza. They weren't going to the movies.
What did they
were
call it
not
back then?
cheating.
Was it going steady back then? Is
Yeah,
that what it was
exactly.
called?
I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so maybe she had an online crush on him, but
Mhm.
come on, people. And these are grown men that are writing these motions, and it makes me mad that they make this sound the way that they do. And to me, that's not a connection. That's not a connection to murder.
No, it's not. Like I
The
said, you've
defense,
got to have some type of forensics, DNA, something.
yeah, exactly. The defense has spent the better part of a year conducting discovery, seeking out exculpatory evidence from the state, and developing credible defense-related theories, which the defense intends to present to the jury in this case. However, let me remind you, everyone,
Here we go.
the defense has spent the better part of a year conducting discovery, okay, and seeking out exculpatory evidence, but they refuse to look at every discovery document being
Mhm.
sent to them by the state of Indiana.
That's a
They said
fact.
it in their last motion.
That is a fact.
So what are they doing here? Who's smoke and mirrors are they really trying to play?
Their own client.
The state of Indiana has sought out no assistance from the court in an attempt to limit the discovery process. In fact, the defense has conducted numerous depositions involving third-party perpetrators without the state seeking any orders of protection or orders limiting the discovery process. That's because the state knew that it didn't matter. Go ahead and waste your time and do these depositions with these people that are not going to be admissible at trial.
Right.
They didn't have to put out any order of protection. They didn't need to. They knew that this stuff wasn't going to be admissible. And all they had to do was do their motion of limine.
Mm-hmm.
The defense anticipates that its trial presentation will include somewhere between 1 to 2 dozen witnesses that will provide relevant and credible information for the jury regarding the culpability of third-party perpetrators.
Now, see, one to 2 dozen, that is a big ass gap right there.
Uh-huh.
Is it 1 or is it 2 dozen or what is it?
Yeah. Is it 1? Is it 24? Is it 18?
Right.
Who are these people? Are they YouTubers? Are they YouTubers who actually, followed this line of thinking for 6 years, and they're absolutely dead set on this is how this went down? Is that who they're using as their witnesses?
Right.
Give me a break. Give me a break.
We don't need to call no names out because we all know who they are.
We all know who they are. To the extent the court carries out its warning referenced in the April 28th email, the trial will be reduced to unnecessary delays due to lengthy offers to prove and lengthy delays due to large gaps in the scheduling of witnesses to appear for trial testimony. The absence of any articulated and reasoned legal guidance from the court in advance of the trial would promote the lack of judicial economy throughout the proceedings. They act like Judge Gull has never done a trial of this magnitude before, and I guarantee you she has.
Oh, yeah.
The defense requests the court set the state's motion in limine for hearing for a full day during the week beginning May 6th, at which time the parties would be entitled to present evidence regarding admissibility of third-party perpetrator evidence. This approach to the business of jurisprudence would assist in clarifying the nature and scope of the evidence to be admitted at trial, which would benefit both parties, the court and the jury. And in its motion in limine, the state requested to limit evidence regarding several other matters. The defense's response to each request for limiting instructions is as follows. State's paragraph 1, state requests relief from any comments about counsel for the state that constitutes a personal attack on the attorney for the state or comments on the role of the state's attorney. Said request is unsupported by any specific facts or allegations and therefore should be denied. The attorneys, including counsel for the state, are bound by the rules of professional conduct. Oh, really? And they've really absolutely followed that, haven't they, you guys? Give me a break.
Didn't they turn around and
these men?
Didn't they turn around?
These men?
Didn't they turn around and file a contempt on Nick too?
Yes. Yes. And I'm
Oh
like,
my
not to
goodness.
mention they've got their minions running all around, looking at him, following him, trying to, get dirt on him. I mean, give me a break. Really?
You know what? Somebody told me today. They commented on something, and they go by Night Hater, and they said the wheels on the defense bus is coming off, and I said, yeah, and they don't have a spare for it.
No, they don't have a spare. I told you today, they are up a creek without a paddle.
Yeah.
Hey, Abby's grandma. It's so good to have you with us. And thank you so much for your $10 super sticker. I
Thank
so
you, Abby's
appreciate it.
grandma. It's greatly
Absolutely.
appreciated.
Thank you so, so much. The state seeks to limit the defense from comments which constitute the personal opinion of defense counsel about any evidence, witness, outcome, or penalty. The state provides no specific facts or documentation supporting its request for a limiting instruction. The request is unsupported and should be denied. Really? Do we really need to point out why they asked for that? I mean, have you read the Frank's motion? I mean, give me a break. These guys, I mean, they really must think that the court is completely ignorant. States paragraph 3, the state seeks limitations on the defense as it relates to innuendos or inferences that are not supported by admissible evidence. The request is overly broad, unsupported by factual allegations, and therefore should be denied. I again reference you back to the Frank's motion. Unsupported facts, innuendos, crazy theories, all kinds of inferences to get us to look away from Richard Allen. That's all they've been doing for the last 18 months. States paragraph 4, the state seeks to limit the defense's ability to conduct voir dire through the introduction of substantive issues, in this case, to the jury pool. The state provides no specific references to what substantive issues should be limited. The request is overbroad, unsupported by any specific facts, and therefore should be denied.
There's that word again or two, overbroad and unsupported.
The state does not want them clouding the minds of these prospective jurors when they're going through jury selection by asking them all these weird preconceived questions about Odinism and all this other stuff. They do not want this to happen, you guys. And there's obvious reasons for it. It has nothing to do with this case. States paragraph 5. The state seeks to limit the defense's ability to question potential jurors about their feelings about the credibility of certain anticipated trial witnesses. The state's request contains no specific facts that would support such a concern. The state's request is overly broad and therefore should be denied. The defense wants people to be questioned about their feelings about credibility. They want to know if you feel that this person is credible or not. The state says no, that you're not allowed to do that. That is not what you're allowed to do in jury selection. States paragraph 6. The state seeks to limit the defense from introducing hypothetical questions that include facts that are not in evidence or questions that are not helpful in violation of Rule 705. The state's request is overly broad. No, it's not. I tell you to go back and read Frank's motion number 1, Frank's motion number 2, Frank's motion number 3, and today Frank motion number 4. Therefore, the state's request should be denied. States paragraphs 7, 8, and 9. See references in paragraphs 3 to 6 above. They don't even want to write out what they're saying. It's so ridiculous. States paragraph 9. The state seeks to limit the defense's ability to challenge the state's geofencing expert, Kevin Horan, based on relevance. The state's request is overly broad, contains no specific facts, which the state is seeking to limit and usurps the defendant's Sixth Amendment right to present a defense. Therefore, the state's request should be denied. States paragraph 10. The state seeks to limit the introduction of prior bad acts pursuant to the evidentiary rules. Again, the state provides no specific facts to support its request for limiting instruction. The trial court has granted broad discretion in administering or administering the rules of evidence in a fair and just manner during the course of the trial. The state's request is also overly broad and therefore should be denied. Okay, what is it, gentlemen? Either the court has consistently denied everything you've asked for, or they have granted broad discretion in administrating the rules of evidence in a fair and just manner. It's not fair and just and then bad. It's got to be one or the other. What is it's oh my God, it's just insane. State's paragraph 11, the state seeks to limit evidence related to its own failure to provide the defense discovery, consistent with a local rule regarding discovery and consistent with Rule 2.5 of the Indiana Rules of Criminal Procedure. However, the state provides no specific facts to support its request for a limiting instruction. Therefore, the state's request should be denied. Again, its own failure to produce defense discovery. They have discovery rules. They did it within the amount of time the court laid down. And the court laid down those rules by Judge Diener. He's the one who laid down the rules for the discovery in this case, guys, just so you didn't know, if you didn't know that. And she's just upheld it of what he said.
Mm-hmm.
And they have followed those rules. Just because the defense isn't looking at every single page of discovery for months and months on end and doing whatever the heck else they're out there running around doing instead of working this case, that's not the state's fault.
You know what's so funny is it almost seems like that they're going through the discovery and finding the evidence against them and turning a blind eye to it to find something that might counteract what is really.
Oh, I think it's absolutely apparent that they have seen so much in this last discovery dump that they're backpedaling because they don't know what they're going to do now. Right. I think they know that there is DNA evidence. I think they now know that there is evidence that was gained in that search warrant of his car and home. And I think that they're scared out of their wits of what they're going to do. So that's why they're trying to get all of this stuff thrown out now.
And, you know, it's so, I mean, I don't even know what word to use, because if you go back to January and February of this year, she denied her limities when it comes to the fruits and stuff like that from the search warrant. So why would you want to refile it again, knowing it's going to get denied again?
Because
that's
doing,
what
like I said, because they're doing everything in their power to fill the court full of all of these motions to delay the inevitable. We know they don't want the trial to go forth on the 13th. We know that. They're not ready. They need a DNA expert now that they can't afford.
Right.
We know that. We know Hennessy's out there hitting the streets trying to get people to send him money so that they can get this DNA expert that they need all of a sudden.
I mean,
trust me, guys, this is coming down. It's going to get really interesting here really fast.
Yep.
So the end of this is the state seeks to limit the defendant's ability to offer up PowerPoint presentations that were created by the state and its investigative team over the course of the 6-year investigation in this case. The state's motion provides no documentation to support its request for a limiting instruction. Therefore, the state's request should be denied. Wherefore, Defendant Allen respectfully requests that this court schedule an all-day hearing on the state's motion in limine as relates to third-party perpetrator evidence. Defendant Allen believes that the said hearing is necessary to ensure a fair, efficient, and just determination of the facts to be presented to the jury in this cause. Defendant Allen requests that said hearing be scheduled during the week beginning May 6, 2024. Respectfully, Bradley Rosie. So,
oh my God. I mean, yeah. I can't even think of the words anymore what to say because of all this nonsense that they're doing. I mean, and you still got these pro-defense people still backing them. I'm like, man, you guys must be illiterate. You don't have common sense, or you just have a loose screw or a
really
marble in there.
Frightening.
I mean, I'm just like, I'm not an attorney, and I can see the writings on the wall with these filings.
You don't have to be like, I mean, it's
that's
just
what I'm
like,
saying.
Yeah.
Anybody with any brain at all could see what's going on here. And why you keep pushing the defense's theory is beyond me. I just don't get it.
So I firmly believe that the motions that were filed regarding the Jerry Holman interview on October 26th, 2022, when Richard Allen called Lafayette's Post and asked if he could come in because he wanted his car back, wanted to know when he was getting his car back. And they said, sure, you can come in. So he and Kathy show up, and they're immediately told that they can speak to ISP Sergeant Jerry Holman. They're taken back and put into a room with the door is not locked. They're able to open the door and leave if they choose to. And they can exit through that door directly ahead and out the front doors of the station. So it's not like they're in a maze of hallways and don't know where they're at or anything. They're free to go and free to leave. Jerry Holman asks him when he sits down with him, do you remember being given your Miranda rights on October 13th, Richard? Yes. Do you still understand them? And you understand those rights that you have today? Yes. Jerry Holman did not have to Mirandize him that day because this was not an interrogation. This was a voluntary come to the station. Let's sit down. I've got some things I want to ask you. He came to the station because he wanted his car back and agreed to talk to Jerry Holman. And even while he's talking to him and makes the decision to stop talking to him and says, I'm done, he continues to talk to him. Right. So by doing that,
to me, that told me right there when I read that, I said, he's trying to fish information out of Holman is what he's doing.
Exactly. He wanted to know what they know or what they knew.
He was trying to play that psychology game with somebody that went to the FBI Academy.
Yeah. No, exactly.
You know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh, Lord, here we go. I started reading that. I was like, man, you're going to try to outwit a person who went to school for this. And
what you can understand or what you can get out of this, if you really look at it, is he most likely, from what I'm gathering, that happened on that October 26th conversation, because stop and think about it, you guys. Richard Allen called them. Richard Allen goes to see them. They don't have a warrant for his arrest. They haven't gone to his house on the 26th that morning to arrest him for these crimes, right?
Exactly.
He called and said, I want to come in. I want to find out when I get my car back and all this other stuff. And so he goes in. I believe he said something in that interview with Jerry Holman that was eye-opening to Jerry Holman. And Jerry Holman was like, we've got him. And that's why he was arrested that day. I believe that. Now, is that a confession? Is that why the defense is so adamant now that they want that thrown out? That specific day, that specific interchange with Jerry Holman, they want thrown out. And they're using Miranda as the excuse, but I don't believe it's Miranda at all.
No.
Because he didn't have to be Mirandized. He already admitted that he knew his rights. He remembered being given them on October 13th. And he was well aware and okay with talking to Jerry Holman. And
then when he got the break to go have a cigarette, he told Kathy something about getting an attorney because this is over with.
Yeah, he went. He and Kathy were having a conversation, and he said to her, "If you get an attorney, this has to stop." So this conversation, that what they were doing and what they were going through at that point would be over. He wanted her to go hire an attorney.
But the problem with that,
the point was he was free to go.
Right.
He could have stood up out of that chair. She could have stood up out of that chair, walked right out the door and right into the street.
And he went right back in there and continued.
Yeah, he kept going back. And like, who does that? I agree with you 100%. He was trying to figure out, thought he was smarter, because, you know, a lot of times that's what these criminals, they do. They think they're smarter than everybody else. And he's like, I'm going to find out what they know. I need to find out what they have. I want to find out what they have on me.
Right.
And that's why he kept going back. But I do think that he gave some sort of a statement to Jerry. And
something that only the killer would know.
That whatever that statement was enough. That's all Jerry Holman needed to hear. He knew he had Bridge Guy. He knew at that moment in time, we've got him. Because I think all along they felt it was him, but whatever he said sealed it.
Yeah.
And I believe that. And I think that's why the defense has freaked out, because they just got this discovery that they finally decided to look at. And
like we've been preaching for the last few months, every time Nick drops something on them, they're turning around filing something the following day or two to try to get it thrown out.
Yeah.
It's no bueno what's going on with this defense team to me.
Who are they talking about in here? That somebody has a channel. Who's got the channel that I missed something? I just saw it and I'm trying to figure out who's Brian Emery. Somebody came in as Brian Emery. Did you see it? Does anybody know? CJK, who are they talking about? That has a channel, that lost his channel?
Probably talking about Frank. He's back again.
Oh, they're saying he's back again. Then report him, please. He needs to be reported to YouTube.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about. I found it.
Yeah. The only recourse we have is reporting these people.
And you got to make sure you let them know that he's been ban evading.
Yes. And Sawyer Smith has absolutely hit it on the head here. They said the killer knew one item. If the killer knew or said the killer would know one item and what it was, he would know.
Yeah.
So in other words, that's why they don't always want to let loose to the public all the things that they have from a crime, all the evidence that they have. They want to hold things back that only the killer would know, so that when they interview him or come across him, they've got him. Because if he knows it and they've never disseminated that out to the public anywhere, there's no other way he would know unless he was the perpetrator or he was there.
Yep.
And I believe that. I mean, I just do. I just think that is what we're looking at here. Yeah, I've heard that. Somebody that I truly respected and really thought the world of has really thrown me for a loop with that whole thinking that CJ is supposedly some, I don't know, fall from heaven new Delphi expert. I'm like, whatever.
A drunk. He's a drunk.
Yeah. Well, boy, lo and behold, has Rosie and Baldwin been busy. They've been really busy this week. I don't know that they're busy doing what they're supposed to be doing, but they're busy. And I do think they're running scared. I think that what we're seeing here is like I said, a defense that is imploding upon itself. And it's for their own shortcomings. The things that they have done and tried, the games that they've tried to play, call it strategy, call it whatever the heck you want to call it. She saw through it. They went after her character, you guys. They went after the judge in this case's character. You don't character assassinate the court and expect to come out on the good side or the right side of justice. You just don't do it, especially when there's nothing that warranted it. There was nothing to me that warranted what they were doing with her. And when they went to the Supreme Court, you would have thought that they would have learned, because the Supreme Court didn't agree with them either. Not about Judge Gull. The only thing they agreed upon was that she made them one fatal error. She afforded them professional courtesy that day in October when she did not take them out into court and hold their butts to the fire.
Let me address this real quick. Lisa said that CJ was in here making nasty comments about Frank, Ruckus, and Kristen Orwin on another channel. Look, we don't care.
Nope.
We don't care. Let them talk all they want because they're making themselves look like dipshits.
Yep.
You know, they're just mad because we're doing good things and they're not.
Yep. I had a good conversation yesterday with a national correspondent who has covered Delphi from day one. She's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I respect her so much. And she watches us. She watches you. She watches me. She loves Ruckus. She's like, you guys are spot on with your facts and the things that you try to bring out to talk about in this case. You don't get wrapped up in all of the crazy that's out there.
Right.
And that was extremely refreshing to hear coming from a national news correspondent who is very well known to the public, and especially anyone that follows this case. To hear that from her, it was wonderful to hear her say that about the three of us.
Yeah, you know, it was so funny when you say that. It just shocked me that I ended up getting an email from this person. And I was like, hold on. This can't be right. So I called Kristen about it, and Kristen already knew the circumstances. And I said, cool. That's pretty cool, you know? So let her do her thing.
And, you know, she told me, you know, yesterday wasn't the first time I've talked to her, but she told me, you know, a few weeks back, she's like, Kristen, let them talk about you. She goes, let them say whatever they want to say, because all that means is that you're doing the right thing. If you're ruffling their feathers and you are getting under their skin to where they feel that they have to take the time out to discuss you and talk about you instead of the facts of the case, then you must be doing something right.
And guess who's coming back? Alex Voorhees.
Alex. He's not really gone anywhere, you guys. He just works behind the scenes on everything.
He's going live with Ruckus tomorrow night.
Yes, he is. But like I said, Alex is not gone anywhere. Alex is here and he is working diligently on other cases. Alex is out to do good, and he's not the kind of guy that wants to be in the limelight.
Right.
He likes to do stuff behind the scenes. And, you know, I commend him, and it'll be great to hear him and hear what he has to say when he's on Ruckus tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. And he's done a lot of really good things regarding this case. You know, he really has. He's able to find a lot of information. Let's put it that way. I wouldn't want to be on his bad side. Blessings galore. I'm curious. What's Kristen's background? Legal, college instructor? Nope. That's not my background. I'm a grandma right now.
How the heck?
But I am college educated. I do have degrees, and most of my degrees are in healthcare. But yeah, no, guys, I don't have any legal background. I have family members that are in law enforcement that are detectives. And as you all know, my best friend's husband, my best friend of 53 years, her husband is a judge. So
Well,
I
I
have that
got,
legal. I
I
have that
got,
legal knowledge.
I can say I got a degree in law
There you go.
from Google University.
There you go. I was just going to say, I think there's a lot of people out there that have those degrees. I think that the defense's team is using a lot of that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, good Lord, So yeah, I'm also a spider collector. So
Oh
that says a
my.
little bit about me.
Man, let me tell you a little story about I took my daughters to the zoo when they were like 4 and 5 maybe. And they have these little 3D things they can get into, like a little spaceship, and they can watch a movie while they're inside of it, and the thing moves. Well, it's 3D, right? So they get inside there, and the thing is jam-packed. The next thing you know, I hear my daughter screaming at the top of their lungs. It was a spider 3D movie, and it was nothing but spiders coming at them, and they started freaking out. So I don't deal with spiders either. So
That's okay. I love my spiders. I just had one of my pair of regal jumping spiders just had an egg sac
ooh,
of babies that hatched, and I'm real
uh-oh.
excited. I'm so excited about them. These little guys, they're these little jumping spiders. I think I told you guys they only get to be about this big around, and those spiders, I can sell those spiders for $50 a piece. So if they
Wow.
have 200 spiders in an egg sac, stop and think that's 10 grand.
Laura's asking if you got a tarantula.
I have 40 tarantulas.
40?
40.
What the? My God.
So yes, I do.
Oh
Yes,
my.
I do. I do. Listen, Rescue says no spider or snake talk.
No. Let me tell you something, man. Them pythons and all them pet snakes, they're damn smart.
Oh gosh, my grandson's snake that we got when we went to the reptile show in Chicago, I'm keeping it for him until he just got engaged and they're getting ready to get their own place. I told him I would keep the snake for him until they moved. Well, that snake sits in my office over here, and she is now she's 8.5 months old, and she will pop her little head up in her enclosure, and she'll look up over the thing and she'll look at me, and I'll be just sitting here working away at my desk, and I'll look over and here's this little snake head just looking
Oh
at me,
my.
and stuff, and it's just funny. But yeah. Oh, sure, Laura, no problem. No problem at all. Sharon's like, oh God, snakes too.
Let's see, we got a little pond over here by my apartment complex, and we got to be careful over there. Water
Yeah.
moccasins and copperheads and stuff like that.
Oh, sure. A lot of people, that's what's so sad about people who keep reptiles, and inverts as pets. They don't realize what they have. They don't realize how big they're going to get,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to snakes sometimes. And then when they do get overwhelmed and they're too big, they're like, oh, we'll just let them loose. Then you end up with all kinds of problems. So you don't want to do that either. Alex is very smart to stay behind the scenes. There are a lot of people, and I'm going to say at least 8 that I'm aware of, that I'm very close to, that work behind the scenes on these cases. You don't see them put out videos. They don't go live on their YouTube channels, but they are working diligently every day on cases. And speaking of which, I don't know if anybody heard, and I wanted to not forget to bring this up tonight, but the autopsy came back on
Susan Morphew.
On Susan Morphew, and she had tranquilizer in her body, so she was tranked with trank darts, and we all knew that was probably what happened to her, but it was verified in her autopsy.
Yep, she's originally from Indiana.
Yep, and was in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And so Barry doesn't have a leg to stand on. I'm wondering how his daughters must feel today, knowing that. I hope she does get justice. I pray and hope our good friend, this channel's good friend, Real Gone GonZo, has worked so hard on her case behind the scenes. He has been on multiple searches in Colorado for her with Suzanne's brother, and just done amazing work on her case. And I really hope and pray that she gets justice, because it's sad, and it's 4 years. Mother's Day is when she went missing. And yeah, it's a long time. And she was out in the desert in that hole for, 3 years before they
Right.
found her. Hey, Brown Skittle, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you so much. I will see to it that he gets that.
Thank you, Brown Skittle.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. But yeah, it's really, really sad. Like I said, I would say that that's new evidence.
Yeah.
The fact that they have the autopsy, and now that it shows that she has the tranquilizers in her, knowing that he used tranquilizer darts on animals out there. Yeah, I and that they found a dart in the laundry. I just think we can only hope. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that out today.
Yeah, I saw that.
Kristen sent on X about geofencing with Susan Hendricks and Paul Horschelt video. What? Seen on, I'm not sure what. On,
I think she meant to say seen.
Seen on
Seen on X about the geofencing.
About geofencing with Susan Hendricks and Paul Horschelt, the short video.
Yeah,
the geofencing is going to be interesting. Steve from True Crime Web has said all along that the cell phone data and the metadata in this case is going to be huge. And I think that we're going to see that. I think that it's really come to full fruition in these motions just these last few days, because again, the defense is now wanting Libby's phone completely thrown out and not being allowed to be used as evidence. Why would they want that, you guys? What's on her phone that they don't want the world to see? Wouldn't you think that they would want to take that phone and use the data on that phone and compare it with Richard Allen's cell phone that he was using to watch the stock ticker and verify those? Why would they not want to do that? What possibly could be the reason? Oh, you mean it could be the reason, the fact that he lied? He wasn't on a stock ticker. He was using a burner phone. He was doing all these other things.
Right.
Come on. There's a reason why they want her phone gone. And her phone is huge evidence. Why would they ever not allow that phone to be introduced? It was found at the crime scene under the girls.
Yep.
Under Libby. And now they're saying it was found under Abby and under Libby's shoe. That was in one of the defense's filings today. So I'm like, again, they can put anything they want to in a motion. They don't have to prove it's true. They can say whatever they want to. And we have to remember that. And so the people who don't know the facts of the case or don't remember all the motions from 18 months ago and all the things that were said and all the evidence and where it was found and when it was found and how it was found, that's how these things get all turned around.
Stephanie makes a good point. RA was communicating with her, obviously.
Could very well be.
Yeah.
Could very well be.
There's always the possibility there was
now they're saying, go ahead, Frank.
There is a possibility that there could have been some inappropriate stuff going on, or he was trying to contact the girls in an appropriate way or something of that nature. I mean, it's just a possibility. We don't know that. So,
well, I think what's interesting about this is that they're now trying to say that there were phones out there that didn't belong to Richard Allen, Abby, or Libby. There is no proof of that. There is no proof that anyone else's phones were out there at that time that they're talking about. They've talked about the fact that Ron Logan's phone pinged, but Ron Logan isn't part of this. The prosecution has said he is not a part of this.
Right.
Okay. So they've already accounted for that phone. There are not 3 phones out there that are unaccounted for, that the state hasn't accounted for. They don't name who these people are. They don't name in any of their motions who these phones belong to. They just put that out there so the public starts racing with it and running with it. And these YouTubers and podcasters start running with it and talking about, oh my God, there were 3 people out there in the woods. The Odinists must have been the ones who did it. It was their phones.
And we've already talked about that, who we possibly believe the phones belong to. I mean, there's no, in my opinion, it's more likely Ron Logan's, Libby's phone, and Richard Allen's burner phone. That's what I'm thinking.
Yes, they identified the 3 phones that weren't Libby's or Abby's, and they questioned those people and cleared them.
Okay, well, good. Libby's phone's out of there.
Yes. Oh, you know that they had to have. So the geofencing, I know somebody asked earlier, what's the difference about
Steve, True Crimes here.
Oh my God, there he is. Hey buddy, how are you? So good to see you. While not all of his pings were accurate during his testing at Delphi, some were dead on. If there are several pings coexisting, same point, example, Libby's and Rick Allen's. Exactly. The thing that the defense is trying to say now, and Steve, I would really like you to weigh in on this while you're here, is they're trying to say that Libby's phone didn't stop pinging at 5:44 p.m. on February 13th, but that it pinged clear up until 4:30 a.m. on the 14th. And if that's the case, there was a ISP in the motion I read, if you guys remember, the ISP geofencing guy that they don't want to be allowed to be talked about, is because the geofencing guy made a statement that either the phone was not in the area or the phone was no longer operating and working. And that was an opinion. That wasn't a fact. This was this guy's opinion. It doesn't mean he was right. It doesn't mean that he knew everything at that point. That was an opinion that he had. Mm-hmm. And the state knows that, but the defense has jumped on it, and they've taken that statement completely out of context and made it big and huge and said, well, this professional, this expert from the geofencing team of ISP said that Libby's phone wasn't even there. Her phone was gone. It wasn't even there. And it stopped pinging at 4:00 in the morning. So it was brought back when the girls' bodies were brought back. That's what they're trying to say. And it's just, and I'd like to know what Steve thinks about that. If you want to weigh in, bud. Because I just think that they're reaching, like I said, they're reaching at everything, which they're supposed to.
Now, we have not seen anything on DNA from any of their motions, have we?
No, just the fact that they want all that thrown out. They don't want any of that to be used. They're trying to get that search warrant thrown out.
And to me,
they know they need a DNA expert now.
That right there tells you that they're something with DNA is damning to them.
They found it out in the April 26th dump. Their last dump, they found it. And I think they now know that they're in trouble.
Yep. And hadn't we been saying this for like 2 or 3 years?
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, my dear. You are so awesome. Thank you for the $9.99 super sticker.
A lot of us been saying that for the last, since they've been brought onto this case. I said, watch. Sooner or later, they're going to come along and through the discovery, and there's going to be a piece of evidence that's going to be so damning And this could likely be it right here. The DNA.
I'm here to tell you, you guys, we've been saying it and saying it and saying it for over a year and a half. I've been saying it. I know Frank's been saying it, and I know Ruckus has been saying it. They found stuff when they did their search.
Yep.
True Crime Web. Unfortunately, we didn't keep a time log of every timestamp for when Mrs. Steve pinged me. Pinged me. There could have been attempts which showed no pings. And I just, because of the area, because of how cell towers worked back in 2017, they worked differently back then than they work today because the technology has gotten better. And I think that that whole pinging thing is going to come back to bite them because I don't think it's going to prove what they're hoping it proves.
Good question, Deb. Bottom line, where was RA between 11:30 and 5:55 p.m. that day?
Exactly.
Well,
No,
we
exactly.
know where he was at between 1:30 and 3:30.
We know where he
that much.
wasn't. We know where he wasn't. He wasn't at home.
Nope.
And he wasn't at work.
Where was he between 11:30 that morning and 1:30 before he was seen? And where was he, say, between 3:30 and 4 o'clock, or after allegedly he was seen by the muddy witness? Where was you at after that?
Yeah. No, exactly. Hey, Priscilla of Boston, thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat. I appreciate you supporting the channel. Thank you so much. Gail is looking for walking sticks to mail to both of us.
Oh,
that would be cool. Oh, I would love that.
Randy's got one.
I know, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Awesome.
And Fig did a damn good video yesterday pointing out 7 critical things that the defense wants thrown out.
And there's all good reason as to why. If you haven't seen, Fig did his own video on his channel. Please go watch it. I posted it on my community page. If you guys are looking for it, just go to his channel. You can find it. But the link is on my community page. He also did a live stream with Gray Hughes last night, which was about an hour long. It's really worth watching. But Fig is on it. You know, he has done so much, and I'm so glad. I told him as soon as he put it out, I said to him, I texted him and I said, I'm so glad your voice is back because we need your voice. And I know that the defense doesn't want him out there talking because he's so good at breaking this stuff down,
right,
and putting it out the way everyone can understand it. This is the job he does. He's good at coming in and looking critically at scenarios, figuring out what the problem is, and then giving a solution as to how to fix it. That's what he does for a living with businesses. And I'm talking big corporations. I'm talking the U.S. government. I'm talking big people. He goes in and that's what he does for a living. He's great at it. He's really smart. But I definitely agree. Love to hunt that. I think the geofencing, the GPS, and the Garmins and all of that information is going to be proved to be critical in this case. And my only hope is that the expert that they get to explain it all to the jury can explain it to where they can understand it.
Right.
Because sometimes that technical talk and that technical jingle, that technical lingo can go right over the top of people's heads. And if you're not familiar with it, you know.
And now you got the defense bitching about the prosecutor's going to take up all the time during the trial and leave them no time to even put a defense together. I was like,
isn't that hilarious? When in October, before they were kicked off the case, and they were talking about the January trial date, she asked if either side had an issue with the time that she set for the trial in January. And both sides said no. The time that she had allotted was fine. What has changed between October and now? Nothing. Nothing
Once
has
again,
changed.
once again it goes back to this. They thought that she was going to call that they were going to call her bluff when she flipped the script and she called their bluff.
No, exactly. Absolutely. Mo, show me. Thank you so much for your $9.99 super sticker. I so appreciate it. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
then when that happened, they were like, "Oh shit, what are we going to do now?" Well, you dug yourself the hole right there when you asked for the speedy trial. Period. Point blank.
Yeah,
We
Brown
all.
Skittle,
I
I
mean,
agree. I think Brown Skittle could very well be right. When Rick Allen, and I thought about this last year, when Rick Allen started eating the paper, it was because he had just been given all the documents, that first document dump about the evidence against him. And I
Yeah.
think he saw stuff that freaked him out. He's like, oh my God. And that's when he decided to start acting crazy.
Right. It was all a ploy.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was all a ploy. Now,
Yeah.
do I think that he physically went through some stuff? I absolutely think he physically went through some stuff. You know, if you are an alcoholic or you have severe addiction to alcohol and you're drinking every day, which it sounds like he very well may have been,
Right.
when you stop doing that, you are going to go through withdrawals. You're going to lose tons of weight. He stopped eating.
And
I mean,
it's going
he
to
went
play
through
with your
all the stuff.
psyche. And it will play with your psyche.
Exactly.
Just like anybody that's been a drug addict and they kick the habit. The first thing most people go through is the body part of it, and then the psych part of it, trying to keep yourself away from it, you know, or not getting it when you want it.
Did you see what Steve said?
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't do Fig's job. It's much easier dragging Mrs. Steve through the woods.
I'm sure she enjoys it though.
I'm sure she does. You know, she does it. She's a trooper. She's allowed him to, you know, make her a crime victim and all kinds of stuff. Tear up and throw. What was he said? One time she walked through the house and the whole living room was turned upside down because he was processing a crime scene and he had flipped furniture and he was measuring stuff. And
Right.
I'm like, oh my gosh, you know. Mr. Steve made a good comment about the random water bottle taken at Rick Allen's search warrant. Could a water bottle have been left at the crime scene and it was the same type of bottle? Absolutely. Absolutely. I have said before, what if they did find an Aquafina water bottle in the creek? What if they found a water bottle floating in the creek along with the cigarette butt that they found? We know they found a cigarette butt because I remember that coming across the two-way radio when they were searching for the girls, and they said that they needed an evidence bag because they found cigarette butts.
Mm-hmm.
That was right before they found the clothing. It was right around the same time that they requested evidence bags. So if they have a cigarette butt, they've got DNA.
Well, then again, you got to remember all the searchers were out there too. Cigarette
No,
butts.
I get it. I'm just saying,
you know.
we know he smokes.
Right. We know
Right?
that.
And as far as I know, he smoked cigarettes. He wasn't vaping, right?
No, it was. You could see him in his videos smoking cigarettes.
Yeah. So, but I'm just saying, cigarettes would lead to DNA, and you might have partial. You might not get a complete. It just depends. You see, that's the thing. Other thing that people don't realize about DNA, and you and I have discussed this at length about, you know. Paul Holes talked about this at CrimeCon. You and I talked about this, that whenever you have a perpetrator whose DNA gets mixed with the victim's DNA, and here we have 2 victims and a perpetrator at least, and so we're talking 3, and that gets mixed, that becomes very degraded and hard to determine full markers for a full DNA profile, which is what happened in this case. They had enough markers to rule people out as being the contributor for that DNA, but they didn't have enough markers to rule people in.
Right.
And so that's what they were doing, because they used the DNA to say that Daniel Nations could not have been the perpetrator.
Right.
I think they did that with a few of the other people that they were looking at early in the game.
Well, then you got to remember, Paul Westphal even admitted he had buccal swabs done several times.
Yes. And if they found DNA, Frank, after the DNA that was found at the crime scene, so in other words, like you and I've discussed, did they find the knife? Did they find DNA on the knife? Did they find, what did they find at the house that may have had DNA on it there? Is there more DNA than what was just found at the crime scene?
Right.
Those are all possibilities that
Right.
we have to take into consideration, which could lead to why we see the defense freaking out and wanting all of everything thrown out. It's not just one or two things. They're going for the whole pie. And it said that Abby was always rumored to have a water bottle. I don't know. I've never heard Kelsey say that the girls took a water bottle. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, knowing me, if I'm going to go out on a trail and I'm going to be gone for a couple of hours away and know that there's nothing out there to drink, I'm going to take water with me or something. So that only makes sense. But Daisy says, as we get closer, I'm feeling anxious. I can't imagine how the families are feeling. Yeah. I've said all along, and I will continue to say, this is not a slam dunk case. I don't think there's anything such out there as slam dunk cases. I just don't think that you should ever go into a case with that much confidence. I will say that I feel, by what I've witnessed so far, that the prosecution is very, very committed and seems to be very, feeling very confident in their case. And I think they were ready a long time ago to go to trial. I don't think that this whole delay has made the state feel comfortable at all. I think they're ready to move on and get this show on the road. It's the defense that's dragging their feet, and it's the defense who wants things to be derailed and stopped.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's blatantly obvious. I mean, we can repeat ourselves until we turn blue in the face. The writing's on the wall. Why they keep filing motions, the same ones over and over and over. Why they keep filing motions every time Nick throws discovery at them. It makes you wonder. And the biggest thing that makes me believe it's damning evidence that he's turning over to him, because the way they're freaking out every time something's turned over to him.
No, exactly. Route 661. They keep saying Richard Allen is being framed. Why? What they don't say is, why would someone want to frame him? Why not someone like Garrett Kurtz? Why would Richard Allen be the one to take the fall? I've said it all along. You don't pick a guy out of the CVS that nobody's ever heard of, that is a family man who has no criminal record. Why would you even think of pinning it and framing someone like that?
Right.
When you've got the perfect person to frame, it wouldn't be Garrett Kurtz.
And I don't want to
hear out there that
and
day.
I
They
don't
couldn't
want to
prove that.
I don't want to hear none of this shit. Well, they framed Richard Allen to get Tony Liggett in as the new sheriff to make him look good. Yeah, that's the kind of shit you hear.
Oh, I know.
And yes. I just don't want to hear that crap, because that's just nonsense. I mean, you can't deny anything Richard Allen's ever said. He admitted to being there. He admitted to running into 3 teenage girls. He admitted to being on the bridge. And then you got another witness that actually saw him on the bridge on the first platform. What more do you need?
No, I know you didn't Route 661. I know you didn't. I'm just saying that it wasn't Garrett Kurtz. But what I'm saying is that Ron Logan would have been easier, because Ron Logan was out there. They know that day, There's no evidence that Garrett Kurtz was anywhere near Delphi or anywhere near the trails that day. You have to be able to place the person you're accusing there.
But
True Crime Web.
Go ahead.
I have several cases of water bottles. Typically, families have lots of bottles. They isolated and seized one bottle from Richard Allen. Why would they isolate and seize one, is what he's saying. There's a reason for that.
There's just so much circumstantial evidence toward Richard Allen. I just don't understand why they, I don't get it. Their mind thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not going back there.
No, we're not.
We've been down that rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's what I just addressed, CJK. That's the type of shit that we don't need to be talking about, because who in the hell is going to jeopardize their career
Exactly.
and frame somebody of a murder just to be sheriff?
But do you know how many people it would take to be a part of that conspiracy? It's hard to get 2 people or 3 people to keep secrets. Can you imagine all these people that would need to be involved in this? It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. You talk about Occam razor and keep it simple, stupid. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, you got to understand, Love to Hunt, that Richard Allen, between 2:30, I would say between 2:30 and probably 3:15 to 3:30 at the latest, he was with the girls. You got to remember that. So that's plenty of time to, after he commits the horrendous crime, that's enough time for him to stage. And while he's staging, he's smoking a cigarette, and then all of a sudden he gets spooked. That's my opinion. He got spooked in the middle of whatever he was doing, and that's why he left the way he did.
Oh, I agree. And I think it's because he heard Derek.
Yep.
I think he heard Derek screaming for the girls and hollering for the girls. And when he heard a man's voice screaming for the girls, he knew he had to get the heck out of there.
Yep. And that had to have been around 3:30ish, because Derek was there around 3:15, somewhere in that.
Right around 3:15.
Yeah.
Garrett Kurtz was at his first day of work at Packers that day. You can't make that stuff up, you guys. You just can't. If they're at work, they're at work. Brad Holder was also at work.
Yeah.
Response from Rick Allen to the state's Lemine. Not sure what that means. The Lemine, maybe I spelled it wrong, but it's go back and watch the beginning of the video, because I go over the state's Lemine, which is a motion to suppress all of the third party
shenanigans
that the defense is trying to claim committed this crime. Legally, you can't do that without evidence, and there's no evidence linking any of these individuals to this crime. And the state does not want them dragged through the mud in open court in front of the jury, and that's what that is. And they filed that, requesting all of that be withheld from the jury and them not be allowed to talk about it in court. And the defense responded to that today. And I read both of those on the
with the same shenanigans they always try. I'm just like.
And Olivia said there was DNA confirmed by Tobe and Carter. Yes, there was. It was also confirmed by, oh God, what's his name? I got to go back. He was the communications officer in the very early days of the investigation. And Michael Catt talked to him. Oh crap, you guys, help me out with his name.
He was the one.
He's ISP. He's an
Yeah,
ISP.
I can't think of his name right.
And I can't think of his name right now. But
Slocum. Was it
no, not
Slocum?
Slocum, not Tony. Oh gosh, you guys, it makes me so mad. I can see his face and I can't say it. But anyway, Michael Catt did a live interview with him on his YouTube channel and before they went to Colorado for Daniel Nations.
Kim Riley?
Yes. Yep, that's him. And so he said, right on camera, he asked him, "Do you have DNA?" And he said, "Yes, we do."
And then Emily Longnecker from WTHR 13 interviewed Tobe Lesenby out in the woods, and she asked if there was DNA, and he said yes. And that's when she asked him, "Is it from the perpetrator?" And Tobe Lesenby said, "We don't know."
His vast knowledge is so appreciated. Absolutely. He has taught us so much in such a short amount of time with his channel about crime scenes, how to analyze them, the way in which they collect the evidence, and all of that. And it really absolutely has been eye-opening for me. I have learned so much from him. I appreciate him. What?
Annabelle. Did you read that one?
Annabelle?
Yeah.
You guys always make such perfect sense. All those defense supporters are in their own orbit because common sense continues to demonstrate that the defense is falling apart. Well, thank you, Annabelle. I've always said that common sense isn't common anymore. All we have to do is look what's happening in our world.
Exactly.
And we kind of know that. People can see people say things directly to them on camera and not believe them.
Right.
Believe they said them. I didn't say that.
Well, I'm getting tired.
So, yeah, we're getting down to the wire here. So nobody heard the girls scream, so I bet Richard Allen took them to an area that was completely deserted and isolated from people. He didn't take them anywhere. He took them across the creek. They died across the creek where they were. He didn't take them off to a barn. He didn't take them off to some shed. He didn't get them in a car and take them for a joyride and then bring them back. Don't believe any of that, you guys.
Just imagine
the time frame did not allow for that.
Just imagine this. You're out in the middle of the woods with a creek. You got two houses within range of where the girls were found, right? We know that nobody was home at the Weber property at the time. Okay. If you are being escorted by gunpoint, are you going to scream? Think about that. Knowing that nobody's going to hear you. I mean,
you are so frightened. Not only the fact that you're 13 or 14 years old, you are so traumatized and so frightened. You don't know how you're going to react in that given situation. And you can't say for sure what they did or didn't know, whether they screamed or not. But like Frank said, who's going to hear them? Right. You're out in the middle of nowhere. And, by that time, when they were taken off that bridge, and by the time they got marched down it, there wasn't anybody right there around.
No, that's my point.
And he knew that.
Yes.
He knew that the girls he ran into were long gone. He knew that Betsy Blair was long gone.
And he knew that the property owner was gone.
So those,
this was meticulously set up to where he watched the Weber property, because there's even admissions that he used to like to walk the trails. So what's not to say that he was scoping out the Weber property, checking out the schedule there? You know what I'm saying? The ground swells hell.
You don't take them away from the crime scene and bring them back when there is a search going on. Yeah, Shelley, no kidding. No kidding.
And then you got to do the flip side. Oh, it was the families, and then they're all involved in it. They brought them
They
back because they
ruled
knew
out
everybody.
Holder, Fields, Westfall, and Messer back in 2017. So yeah. I've been there as well, and there is a huge embankment. It depends on where they went up, and we don't know for positive where they did go up. Absolutely. I think law enforcement may, but there is an area right there where they went up that if you stand in that creek, it's about 6.5 to 7 feet embankment. That's pretty doggone tall, if you ask me.
Check your private chat, Kristen.
Oh. Comments. Woohoo. Ah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I got it.
Yep.
Now I remember now. I had
Yeah.
forgotten. Yes, they've never told us how much DNA they have or where they got it or where it's from. They've had some DNA since day one. I believe that they may have new DNA from what they found at the search of Richard Allen's house.
His car or something, because you got to think about why would they cut a piece of carpet out of his car?
No, exactly. And this is the other thing. The whole Klein angle. I think with the motion in limine from the state pretty much tells us that Keegan Klein and the Kleins are not going to be part of this trial. They don't want them discussed and they don't want them talked about because there's no evidence out there that the state's going to be using that's going to involve the Kleins. I think that's going to make a lot of people mad as well because there's a lot of people that feel that the Kleins were involved.
Right.
So.
And as you can see, I got away from it real quick.
No, I get it.
As more of these filings came out and everything, and I kept not seeing anything mentioned about Keegan Klein on either side, I was like, they're not even going near that. Either side's not.
No, exactly. And I just want to say, Frank, thanks so much for being here with me tonight. I know you got to run because you got a basketball game to watch.
Sorry, it's the playoffs, guys. I've already missed an hour.
I know. That's why I went early tonight because I was like, I knew I was going to step on Steve's toes and I hated it, but I was like, it was only a half an hour. And I was like, I'm going to have to go early because the Pacers are playing and that's Frank's team. So.
And I do really appreciate everybody that came out and hung out with us tonight with this chat. Hopefully some of you guys that are new here maybe learned a little bit from what we discussed when it comes to these limines and what it's actually the defense is doing here. Just let it sink in for a little bit and maybe you'll see the writing on the wall. And to the people that donated to support this live on Kristen tonight, greatly appreciate you guys. Thank you. And to everyone that donated to the Cash App for me when it comes to the trial, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it also.
Yep. And thank you guys so much for being here and sticking with us. Hang on to your bootstraps because I guarantee
there's more filings coming.
There's more coming. Yeah. It's going to be a bumpy ride, you guys. So just hang on. One of my son's favorite sayings, and I have it tattooed on my arm, is "Hang on, corner." And we got some corners coming, and we need to hang on.
Yeah. So,
but yeah,
thank you,
good night,
Kristen.
Frank. Have a good evening. It was so good having you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good night. I'll talk to you.
Bye. All righty. Bye-bye. So yeah, guys, thank you so much. It's time to say goodnight. There are going to be a lot more of these filings coming. So Frank will be on top of it as he always is. Absolutely. And I thank him for that because he keeps me in the know. I don't have to worry about if there's anything new. I know that he or Deb from True Crime Notebook are going to keep me in the know. And I appreciate them so very much. But yeah, we're going to have a lot more motions. There's going to be a lot more happening filing wise. Tomorrow, we're supposed to hear the response from Francis Gull on the contempt. She said that she would have a ruling in 30 days. So we should hear something from her tomorrow. And yeah, stay tuned. And thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate all of you. Good night. God bless. And please, please be kind. Talk to you all later. Good night, everyone.